Hi everyone and welcome to our Qonic October Release video. I'm Barbara and together with Jacob I'll walk you through what's new and specifically how this update reduces the friction in your daily BIM work. If you're joining us for the first time, Qonic is the next generation of BIM. We are completely browser-based, built on open data and designed so you can model, coordinate and quantify in one seamless environment. So no heavy installations or file size problems. Every month we deliver updates based on your feedback and this month the focus is on two crucial things. Maximum creative freedom and trust in your data. Okay, let's get started. We've added saved views in Qonic, so now you can lock in your perfect setup of filters, colors and cuts and jump back to it anytime. So no more wasting time trying to recreate that view again.
Yeah, so let me give you an example of that. So let's say you have a certain view in mind, maybe this staircase here. I've activated this section and I've zoomed into this staircase and I want to get back to that view later, or maybe I want to share that view with another person in the project. Now it's possible to save this view. So we have this new tab called Saved Views or Views, where you can see all of your views you have stored so far. It's just a matter of creating a new view here at the bottom, giving it a name. Let's call it Staircase. I can optionally give it a label. I will call it a 3D view, for instance. And then it shows me what is included in this view. So currently I have one model open. I don't have an active scope because I just have the entire model in view. I have one active section. I have nothing selected and I have a certain camera position. And you'll see when I, for example, select the staircase, this selection set here is highlighted to show you that indeed now there's also a selection set included in this view. So let me save this. You can see it appear here. And now if I move my camera, do something else and go back to this staircase view, automatically everything that was saved in this view will be enabled. Okay, let's take a look at our browse panel here. And for example, let's select all of the doors in building 1. So I've set up a browse configuration here where I grouped by building and by IFC classification. So I have all of my doors in building 1 selected. If I now create a view of this, let's call this doors building 1. Again, I'll give it a label. You'll see I have this option here to save this as a dynamic view. What this means basically is that my view is going to be saved as a combination of filters based on what I have selected here in my browse panel. So in this case, selection class door and building 1. This means that if I add more doors to building 1, or if I move doors from building 2 to building 1, for example, these new doors will also be included in later views. So this view is basically dynamic. It's updated as the data in the model is changed. Now you'll see here I have the option to indicate a few views as my favorite views. So for example, my staircase and doors building 1, I'll add them to my favorite views. And you'll notice that the favorite views icon has the shape of this navigator icon here. That's because these favorite views will actually show up in the navigator on the bottom. So here under my saved views, all of my favorite views are highlighted here as well. So that makes it really quick and easy to switch between different views in the model.
And this will definitely save you tons of time when working across large or multi-model projects. Okay, next we focused this release on giving you creative freedom without sacrificing BIM precision. So with our new chalk tool, you can now sketch freely in 3D. Whether you're guiding a complex cut, defining a boundary or quickly suggesting a material zone, it instantly translates your idea into model space.
Yeah. Let me demonstrate this on this very simple geometry just to make things very clear and easy to understand. So the first feature that I want to talk about that we introduced with this new release is the chalk tool. As you can see here on the left-hand side, it's basically a tool to create lines and curves. So for example, let me draw some lines here. You can see it automatically snaps to, in this case, the local XY coordinate system. And I can adapt existing lines, existing curves, for example, to turn this line into an arc. Now, the reason why this tool is called chalk and not just line is because it actually behaves like chalk you would draw on existing geometry. So This means if I would take this, this object here, let's give it a rotation, let's say 20 degrees, you'll see the chalk curves, the curves here, are automatically moved and split so that they stick to the object that they're drawn on top of. This was a conscious decision because we want to make it feel like you're drawing on something real, something physical. And now this chalk tool can be used as input for other tools. For example, there's the add layer command, where I can add a material layer, let's say for example, some screed with a certain thickness. And I can click inside the boundary of this chalk curve, and automatically the shape is taken from this curve. Now there's a couple of other modeling features that we've introduced with this release as well. An important one being the ability to select boundaries. So within our deep select mode, which has been around for a couple of months already, and which is used to select faces, edges, and so on for geometry modeling, there's now also an option to select boundaries. So when I move my cursor, let's say into this piece here, and I hit my tab key, you'll see that the boundary is automatically detected and highlighted. So the boundary, in this case, made by the edge of this face and these chalk curves. So it's pretty easy to select these boundaries. You don't necessarily need chalk curves to create boundaries. You can also have, for example, detect the boundary between two objects that are touching. For example, you have this cube here and this one. They're touching here, so there's this boundary which I can also indicate using this boundary selection tool. And these boundaries can now be used for example, push-pulling, extruding, or other functions. So, for example, let me take the push-pull tool. I can now push-pull all three boundaries at the same time. Now, next to the push-pull tool, we've now also introduced the new Extrude command. It's similar to a push-pull, except for that you actually create new geometry when you're extruding something. So, for example, let me extrude these three faces here. So let me select them. And now under the Extrude tool, I can create new geometry from these faces. So this works on planar face, but also curved faces like this one. So all in all, a lot of new geometry tools added to our tool set this release, and you can expect more and more modeling tools to be released over the coming months.
Cool. This gives you the speed of sketching while immediately generating the high quality geometry the bin process demands. Okay, now let's highlight a small tool that delivers huge time savings in daily architectural work. Copy-paste details.
Yes, indeed. So we've released this new feature called copy-paste details, which for now, for the time being, only works on doors and windows, but we want to extend this concept to other types of details as well in future releases. Basically, the idea is you want to be able to copy context from one object, in this case a window, to other windows. For example, I have this one window here. I can see that there's a railing object and a sill as well. They're all separate objects, as you can see here when selecting them. And the reason why we want to allow people to store these details in separate objects instead of inside the same family or the same component is that, of course, these objects will not necessarily be created by the same manufacturer. Actually, in this case, if I select both the window, the railing, and the sill, I can see they're all created by three different manufacturers. The window is created by Paint & Simple, the sill by Sills R Us, and then the railing is manufactured by the railing company. They might even be installed by different contractors. They might be costed separately and so on. So all of these different workflows, we need to have these objects separate. So we're not a fan of defining all these objects inside the same component. But of course, if you don't store them inside the same component, you lose this kind of associativity between the door and the railing in this case. Now, Qonic allows you to have this associativity on the fly. You've seen this in a previous release where I showed you the stretch tool. which allows me to stretch the window, and in this case the railing stretched with it. Now it's also possible to copy these details to other windows. So let's call the copy details command. I can select a source window or door, so let me select the window here, and it will automatically try to detect what are the details around this window. In this case, it detected the railing properly. I can see the sill is not detected, but I can still manually click it to add it to my, my details selection set. Once I'm happy with this, I can click copy, and it's now basically copied to my clipboard. Now I can use this clipboard information in the other command, which is called the paste details command, obviously. So I can now paste my details from my clipboard to some target object. So in this case, let me select all these 4 windows here. Let me hit enter, and it will show me basically the preview of what these details will look like on these new windows. So as you can see, it was properly stretched and scaled to the new size of these new windows. And I still have the option to flip the orientation of the details if I need to. So if for some reason the orientation is not properly set, you can always click the window or the preview to flip the orientation. Once I'm happy with that, I can hit paste, and I've now pasted all these details to all these windows.
Yeah, I believe that's the Qonic difference. We're trying to maintain consistency across your repetitive architectural elements, and it will save you hours of manual adjustments. Okay, and finally, let's talk about data trust. We move compliance checking from the end of the project to the start because we've integrated IDS Validation now directly in the command center. So you can instantly check your model against contract requirements directly in Qonic.
Yes, so this feature allows you to upload an IDS file. So let me just click to upload IDS file, head to the correct folder, and now just hit apply. It's really simple. And now it basically checks all of the different requirements defined in the IDS file and checks whether everything that's defined in there is properly followed or is compliant. So in this case, I can see that there's actually 6 doors that have a missing fire rating property, which was what this IDS file was for. So I can click this notification to see all the incorrect objects, or I can see them individually. So indeed there's 6 doors missing this fire rating. And I can choose to either solve it right there and then, or raise this into an issue. In this case, I'll just create a grouped issue. So I create 6 issues at the same time based on this, this IDS check. I'll just assign myself and solve it later. So I've now created 6 issues, 1 for each door. So for each issue, I can now, of course, go to the proper object, which is missing the information. Here it says in the description what information is missing. Now, of course, I can still solve this. So if I, let me check, there's indeed actually a fire rating there, but there's no value. So let me call this 90, which basically means this issue has been solved. So let me resolve it. So that makes it really quick and easy to check compliance with IDS files.
Okay, great. That was our October release. What you've seen today is more than just a new set of tools, because it's the next step in our mission to make BIM faster, more open and more intuitive than any desktop solution. So before we wrap up, I want to share where you can meet us next month. Our November agenda is packed. On the 11th of November, we'll be presenting at the Trimble Dimensions in Las Vegas, where we are one of the finalists in the Trimble 060 Challenge. On the 12th and the 13th November, you can meet us at BIM Lux in Luxembourg. And we'll close the month with our own Qonic Talks in Paris during the Release AEC event on 17th of November. We'd love to see you there. Okay, everything you saw today is already live, so go explore it, share your feedback, and let us know which features make the biggest difference for your workflow, because that's how Qonic evolves, together with the people who build with it every day. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to seeing you back for the November release. Bye-bye.
Bye.